So, hey guys, I'm Eitan. I'm the CEO and founder of CommonTime Pathways, and we're here with Matthew Marsit, who is the director of instrumental studies at the Boston Conservatory at Berkeley. Matthew, tell me a little bit more about kind of what you are excited about for BOCO coming up this year. What's your thing? Like, you're a clarinetist, so I know that you're in the instrumental world. Like, talk to us. Like, if somebody's interested in BOCO, say hello, tell us who you are, kind of what the deal is around here.
Absolutely. Well, Eitan gave that intro pretty well, right? My name is Matthew Marsit. I chair the Instrumental Studies Department for the Conservatory. Gotcha. That means that it's all of the students that are basically in the orchestral family, plus we include piano, collaborative piano, and conductors in that mix.
Nice.
And degree programs from undergraduate through graduate level. My role here, in addition to overseeing the operations of the department, I serve as one of the conductors. I conduct primarily wind ensembles and some of the small chamber orchestras or studio recording orchestras that we run.
That's cool. Recording orchestras, studio and recording orchestras.
Yes.
Talk to me about when those get a lot of play.
So that's it. We tend to focus those near the end of the academic year. As part of the greater sphere here at Boston Conservatory, we're part of Berkeley, which is this network of institutions, the College of Music. There's a Berkeley NYC. There's a Berkeley in Valencia, Spain. And right. Berkeley NYC is home to the Power Station Studio, one of the top recording studios in the U.S. In its history, it's also been known as Avatar Studios. Madonna recorded her Like a Virgin album, Bon Jovi, the White album, in that exact studio.
That's some cool history.
Berkeley took over the studio right around the pandemic in 2020, did a little bit of polish and renovation, and turned it into an academic center where they host graduate programs in recording technology. But they also, in addition to the professional work they do in New York and still serve as a studio, they welcome us to bring students down for major projects. And this is a partnership we've built with our screen scoring department. So screen scoring artists are writing new scores that we're recording in the studio, and we do so in a cool 360 VR video setting as well.
That's epic.
So it's an incredible experience for the students both here and at the college that get to come together and make this happen.
That's really cool. But I want to ask you specifically about this one project that you just did. I saw something about the Boston Conservatory program having a presence at the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. Is that something that you did that, right? That was an idea you had?
Sort of. So this particular one was a me project, but there is a bigger presence that we've been working on. It started last year in December. A select group of conservatory students were invited to join in a concert exclusively for the UN at Carnegie Hall.
That's cool.
And that opened up a new partnership and engagement between the UN and the Boston Conservatory that is now ongoing. This particular celebration was my joining in as a clarinet player in a little chamber orchestra that performed as part of the celebration of the signing of the 80th anniversary charter. And looking forward, there's an opportunity that could be on the horizon for us to return as an institution for a performance later this year.
At the UN.
TBD.
Okay.
More news
All
to come.
right, cool. On the down low for now. But that's really cool. That's really awesome. So talk to me about what it is that BOCO is looking for in the next class of students. I mean, we're already into 25. People are coming in and matriculating. But as people talk to their families and their music teachers and their school counselors about where they might want to go, what is BOCO looking for in their next group of kids?
It's a great question. It's never a very easy one,
no,
but we'll put a lot of words behind it. I mean, first and foremost, there is a talent base that we have in mind. This field is hugely competitive and challenging, and students join us at different points in their artistic journey, but what we're looking for are those students that are hungry and are ready to take on that challenge and to work hard and then to achieve. But beyond that, we're looking for musicians who are interested in a little more versatility. Something that we've started to all understand well is as the shape of the performance industry changes, we have to change as artists. And our academic programs here have adapted to meet those changes and meet those challenges.
What does that look like for you?
So it means that students who are coming in as a performance major on violin or clarinet or tuba or piano or whatever it may be, who are building out a larger profile as a student and as an artist. So they might consider taking on a minor with their major in performance. They can take on a minor in instrument repair. They can take on a minor in recording technology or in screen scoring,
Cool.
or in creative writing if they really want to. Because the changes we've made to the curriculum have created opportunities for students to focus on not only building their essential skill set, but also building their secondary toolkit. How am I going to remain valid and valuable in this industry to ensure that I walk out of these doors and I'm employable in the arts?
Employable in the arts. That's a good moment. That's a really good moment. It's cool to know that there are institutions like BOCO that are focusing on what does it mean to have a career in the arts and how to really equip their students with the tools necessary to have a job and not have to move back into their parents' basement, right? At CommonTime Pathways, we talk all the time about the fact that students who go into music aren't necessarily either going to be Yo-Yo Ma or living in their parents' basement until they're 45. Like, there's a humongous group of people and careers and professional musicians that are in that between those two people. And I think that there's a really great opportunity to educate the public as well as parents of musicians about what it means to be a professional musician. So have you ever had to talk to a parent that says, my kid's good enough to go to Boston Conservatory, but there's just no way I'm going to pay for a music degree? Have you ever talked to a parent like that?
We have that conversation a lot.
Okay, so how do you talk to that parent? How do you talk to the person who says, I moved here from another country so that my kids could not have to struggle, so why would I pay for them to have a degree that guarantees they'll struggle? There's like that stupid myth that we're trying to bust. How do you talk to the parent who thinks being a musician automatically means you're going to struggle?
Certainly. There are a couple of parts to that answer. First, it begins with understanding that the industry is larger than just that singular seat in an orchestra track. That's oftentimes the dream for a lot of our students. And it's a very valid dream and an important one, and one that we work very hard to support them in. But we also talk about it as a long-term journey. There are very few students. I love that you said the Yo-Yo Ma to basement categories, right? Yeah. There are very few students that finish a degree or mid-degree win that full-time job that guarantees them for life. Instead, they're working their way toward that path, which is going to take probably another 6 to 8 or maybe even 10 years after their degree. So what we're working on is building skill sets for those students and enhancing skill sets that they already hold to prepare them for a larger industry of the arts. How are there opportunities in music business, arts administration, in the recording industry, in the support industries for music, so that they're continuing to build their artistic network, they're continuing to engage with the high-level artists that they want to be working with, even if they haven't yet won that job. That's important and key, so that they're not stepping away and finding work in, I don't know, other fields like retail or food service industry, which are valid, but they're maybe not, they would be tangential to that journey. My job and my goal and the goal of this faculty is to make sure that our students can stay on that primary path from the day they graduate to whenever the point is that they achieve that next opportunity.
So that's really cool. So all you parents listening out there, just remember the fact that Boston Conservatory is one of those institutions that's helping make sure that a music degree is not just a degree that lets your kid move back in when they're done. Right? And it's like, it's so great how everyone wonders about that. Like, if I go study music, but there's a whole host of ways to make a career and a real path for yourself. And you don't hear about the 20, 30, 40, 50, 125,000 musicians that are out there, the million musicians in this country who are professionals, who literally have houses that are just like yours and mine, and they're not living in their parents' basement and having their parents raise their children. You know, it's just this wonderful thing where it's a combination of teaching and arts administration and music business and production and performance and these portfolio careers, which is really cool. Actually, I think a friend of yours, Alex Powell, is somebody who's on CommonTime in our premium content library.
Excellent.
We have a whole series about what does it mean to have a career in the arts, and it's free. So every student who signs up for CommonTime Pathways, it's all free for students, applicants forever. Those students have access to our premium content library, and Alex Powell is on there telling your families what it means to be a professional artist. So if you're thinking, I'm really good at this, can I make money at it? chances are, if your parents haven't made money at it, their answer is going to be no, you can't make money as a musician. But that's just because they haven't done it themselves. And there are millions of people out there who are surviving as artists, and they have degrees that have survived their transition in their life to get them into being a professional artist. And I think that's actually really cool. So talk to me a bit about kind of something like, what are the kind of top three, like why would I choose Boko over going to another conservatory? Call it the Oberlin, call it the big college school, call it the whatever. Like, why is Boko the place that these people are already, they're probably already watching because they are thinking about going to Boko. So what's the real hook, line, and sinker? Like, what are you coming in for? Like, what can you tell me that we should tell them? Why Boko over everyone else?
So those top three things, I would say it certainly begins with the rigor of the artistic training program. We strive to provide students with experience in as many aspects of the performing industry specifically as possible. So a student comes in and they're not just placed in a symphony orchestra and they sit in that chair for a year and slug away at the same styles of music, but instead they're constantly changing the styles that they're playing. They're experiencing the traditional performance, traditional repertoire. They're experiencing a ton of new music. They're playing in styles and genres outside of the classical industry so that they're ready to say yes to any contractor that calls, any gig opportunity that comes by.
Gotcha.
I'd say number two is the particular type of community that we foster here at the conservatory. We're really proud of the fact that this is not a cutthroat, everybody's after you and after your seat, and studios are hyper competitive experience, right? It starts with the process of selecting the right faculty, and then from that selecting the right student body to understand that we're here to build each other up, that we can learn and gain from every experience and from every person around us, and that every person we sit next to and meet along the way is a part of our larger network, and in some way we're very likely to engage with them later in our careers. And then that third piece, to me, this is the easy one, and this sounds like a cop-out, but I mean it as sincerely and heartily as possible.
Give me the cliche.
No, we are placed in Boston. We're in the heart of the Back Bay Fens area in Boston.
Yeah, it's
this
beautiful out here.
This is the heart of where great music is made. It's where there's so much wonderful history in this nation, so much wonderful history in our artistic existence as a nation. You can throw a rock from here to Symphony Hall.
Yep.
We
and
work,
Fenway Park.
And Fenway Park. I guess they throw baseball over there or something, right? But we're very close access and easy to all of the theater district, to all of the other performing venues in town. Yeah. We're very nearby to our peer institutions like New England Conservatory and Boston University. Cool. There's so much great music that happens here. There's gigging opportunity. There's advanced networking opportunity. That's what a student needs to be centered on. I'm not always sure that being in the middle of a calm pasture somewhere is where a new artist is born. You have to be in the heart of the industry that you want to engage in, and there's no city quite like it.
That's a really cool point. It's just interesting to hear about that culture that you're trying to build about networking in that second piece that you mentioned, which actually ties into that third really well. And so that's really cool, because I know that in a lot of places, there's this feeling of, I need to compete with everybody around me and make sure that I'm the best. But in reality, there's always going to be someone better than you. Even if you're Yo-Yo Ma, I'll bet you he's wondering who's coming up behind me, right? But there's a collaborative network, a collaborative environment that you create, which is really cool. And that should be the baseline for conservatories, which is that you are likely to work with the people that you're competing against in the future, and that the more friends you make, the better off everyone is. And by creating a collaborative environment, it also creates a friendly atmosphere, which I think is really cool, because the thing that we really want our students to feel when they're 18 through 21 and 22 is that they feel like they're a part of a community. Otherwise, they lose love for music. You know what I mean? Everyone talks about the fact that you've only made it as a professional musician when you start hating your instrument. That's a horrible, that's like saying you've only made it to the NFL when you've lost your love for the game because you've trained so hard that you can't possibly love it anymore. I feel like that this kind of environment, this kind of collaborative community, is actually something that conservatories have historically been removed from, because you go to a place like Harvard or NYU or Columbia or Stanford, and the whole point is that people are calling it a really expensive country club. It's a network. It's who's in your class, who's doing your group projects with you. It's who are the people on your floor as a freshman. It's all of these connections that you make, which is why some people like Steve Jobs or, Bill Gates would drop out of college because they'd made their friends. Oh, we're good. We're done. This is what we paid for. But at the same time, it wasn't that they couldn't graduate. It's that they felt like they'd used what the university had to offer, which was the connections. And so by bringing conservatory education back into that, I think that's really cool, because the next thing you know, you're going to find students at NEC down the road, or at Berkeley, which is, a part of the umbrella for BOCO, or Boston University, or any one of the other fantastic music programs in the area, and you're going to just make networks, friends, connections. Next thing you know, you're starting a chamber orchestra or a chamber group, and you're performing on weekends, and you're getting gigs, and you're doing the thing. And this is a place, because you're in the city, that the network allows you to cut your teeth as a professional while you're in the safe space of college, so that when you're out there, you're not just trying to figure it all out for the first time.
Well, I'd say that's a part that's worth highlighting even further. A lot of the concerns I hear from parents when they come to bring their students and they come to our visitation days are, how do I encourage my child to be in music when we know that it's a field, or at least in their view, is a field that's fading, is a field that's losing opportunities. And I completely disagree.
Yeah, that's a myth,
I don't
too.
believe it exists
That's a
at
big
all.
myth, yeah.
Right. We've been hearing that same myth since the middle part of the 20th century.
Yeah.
Yet,
well, we all thought drum machines would take over the world in the 80s, and we still have live drummers.
And no one wants to hear a drum machine, right? No, but it's that networking, it's the entrepreneurial spirit, it's that collaboration, and it's those who want to be champions for the art and want to be champions for their community that help to create that new chamber orchestra. I mean, just those words alone, a new chamber orchestra in a major metropolitan city, that's something exciting and to be celebrated.
It's cool.
And that you're exactly right that's very often what is the product of the students that graduate from an institution like this one.
I'm really excited about that concept. Fighting that myth that music is disappearing is hilarious. And in the conversation that people are having around AI, and the conversation that about AI is writing music. Well, no, hang on a second. It's not really writing music. What it's doing is it's attempting to imitate what other people have done, which is a form of learning that all composers eventually go through. Is I'm going to mimic Bach. I'm going to mimic Gunther Schuller. I'm going to mimic whatever the heck you want to mimic. But then eventually their voice comes through. That's the point AI will never get to.
Right.
They'll never actually generate original content. They're just going to generate content that seems to reflect other things that may or may not have been popular. But that's the whole beauty of innovation. And the cool thing is that I had someone actually tell me at a barbecue that art is going to die, because now AI is producing visual art that's making people lose their minds. And I'm laughing. I'm thinking the people who are watching art on social media, the people who are watching music and dance and theater on social media, they're the people who are now have historically not had access to any of it. It's students. It's kids who are in middle and high school who are just discovering these art forms and following people on Instagram and TikTok, and they're learning about all these cool different things that are out there. So everyone says, oh, art is dying because of social media and AI. And I'm laughing thinking there's more art being consumed now exponentially than ever, because every minor producer of art doesn't have to have a $10,000 war chest to send it out to producers and art galleries. It's literally you and your phone, and everyone in the world can see your art. And so we're consuming art at an enormously higher level than we ever were. And that means we can then actually start to discern as people what good art actually is. And if a computer is better than you, maybe you just need to think a little bit harder about what you're producing.
Well, and there's still an opportunity for us to champion the human of
That's
outstanding abilities.
Yes.
Whether we're talking about the Yo-Yo Ma level artist who you not only want to go and hear and experience because of the sound and the connection to human to the human emotion, but also just the chance to see a virtuoso, someone who is a once in a generation level talent,
several generations,
to share a space with that individual, to share those sounds with that individual. That's magic.
Yeah.
And that's something, while computers can produce outstanding examples, that last connection to human achievement and to the emotional side of what art in all of its forms really means still lives and exists only in humanity. And I think that's something, the more, if there's anything, computer technologies, even the amount that's being distributed in social media is only encouraging us to bring our skill set and our level even higher, right? It's raising the bar. And that's where institutions like ours are looking to meet that challenge and help students find that next rung of the ladder every step of the way.
That's cool. So before we kind of wrap up the conversation, I know that people tend to feel like they want to get to know the person, not just the institution. So let me just go ahead and tell everybody that if they sign up for CommonTime Pathways, it's free as an applicant. They can message you directly and you can have conversations. And you can also take a look up at, Matthew Marsit's other stuff, which is pretty cool. There's some videos out there of you playing the clarinet. But beyond that, I'm going to embarrass you for a second. Can you give me that little toy right there on your desk? I want to, so this is on Matthew Marsit's desk, and I know that this is going to be the part that goes viral. This is apparently what Matthew Marsit uses to either refocus or get distracted. You tell me what, and tell me what in the world is the significance of this what is this?
It's a sumo wrestler.
It is a sumo wrestler.
Come on, and it is that reminder sometimes that we have to find our center, our own individual strength. And
I'm going to remove Mr. Sumo Wrestler from the camera for a second here.
When we're about to lose it, that it's up to us to pull it back in.
Okay.
And then be ready to go forward.
Hey, that's cool. The warrior mentality of that. That's pretty cool. And that's good for every field that you're in. But I like that. And I like the fact that there's a sumo wrestler on your desk, especially in the form of a moving bobblehead. But that's really cool stuff. And that tells us a lot, actually. That tells us a lot about the kind of energy and intensity that you try to employ and the joy that you bring here. I mean, that's cool. That's really cool. And so, thank you, Matthew, for hanging out with us. And we love the fact that you're meeting kids on CommonTime Pathways. And we're excited to just make the magic happen.
Looking forward to more.
Thank you, dude. Thanks so much for hanging out.
Always a pleasure.
Nice.